So the claim that I will be refuting this evening is social media is hurting the social and communication skills of its users. The advocate secondary claims are there's a strong correlation between social media usage and depression and anxiety disorders. Social media is replacing real life experiences, and social media is limiting how well we learn. So, the first secondary claim, she states the misinterpretation of people on their social media accounts causes users to feel insecure, making them feel inadequate and halting the development of social skills and also creating unhealthy competition. This is not necessarily true. A report by CNN found that social media actually creates incentives for individuals to go make similar experiences themselves. Social media has expanded the way we communicate to its full potential, allowing all users to have or find a voice for themselves, where they can't generate something out in a face-to-face conversation. The advocate also states the constant exposure to your friends' carefully curated positive portrayals of their lives can leave you to feel inadequate and can increase rates of depression. This is also false. A poll by the Huffington Post UK found that individuals feel social media inspires and motivates rather than not. The counterclaim that I produced for this one is social media creates incentives for individuals who feel they are inadequate. The second secondary claim that I will be refuting, or going against, is the advocate says social media severely diminishes and dilutes the real life experiences we have. This is also false. People use social media to promote their real life experiences. Those who utilize social media to promote these experiences are more eager to partake in such events after the outreach their social media posts have. The advocate says instead of spending time with friends, you go on social media. Social media does not dictate whether or not you're going to hang out with your friends. You're more likely to be encouraged to hang out with your friends because of social media due to the experiences you can share with each other through social media. So social media promotes real life experiences rather than replacing them. And the third secondary claim, shortened and abbreviated vocabulary runs the risk of not fully being able to express ourselves and communicate with others. By using abbreviated vocabulary, you are learning new ways to use these words in a constantly changing environment. So, an example of where to find these abbreviated vocabulary words would be Urban Dictionary, where nearly any modern term or vocabulary word in this day and age can be defined. And the advocate states it limits our vocabulary and how we think. This is also false. Using these abbreviated vocabulary words does not cause one to forget the actual term. It merely adds a synonym to it or a new way to say it. So social media expands one's learning abilities. In conclusion, social media is not hurting social and communication skills. It is assisting those who need their own way to get themselves out there. Thank you.
All right, well, you summarized the advocate's claims pretty clearly. On the first point, you've got two specific counterclaims, not true and false. I mean, I like that. That's pretty straightforward. And you've got good evidence on those particular points. They're rebuttal points that you're presenting. One of the things that I think would help make your argument a little bit stronger if there was some contrast to the advocate's evidence and reasoning on these particular points. And I'm simply getting the counterclaim on this. And so if I had to assess the quality of the evidence and the reasonableness of the inferences that are being drawn here, after having listened to one side's argument versus the other, I'm going to be looking at, well, who did they cite and what examples did they provide and what data is reported here. And the CNN thing is basically very conclusionary, and the Huffington Post research is also pretty vague as to how they reach these conclusions. I mean, they do offer these inferences, but they are a little abstract into how they got that information. I don't know what the Advocate's information was because I don't remember it from back then, but like if we were listening to a debate right now, it would be fresh and we could make that comparison. I think you need to do a little bit of that. On the second point, I think you've got a good argument here, but you kind of presuppose that your argument is correct. It's a little bit circular in the way you are presenting this. It's mostly asserted here. An example or two would be helpful. I think also research from your above points would be applicable here to maybe extend that argument. And again, I think we need a contrast to what the Advocate's information was, and we don't get much of that contrast. On the third point, I think you've got a reasonable answer here that there's not necessarily a substitute, that anybody can learn this information, and that we're really just expanding the terminology. I like those ideas. If I believed that people were, using the original terms, understood the original terms, and didn't just understand the abbreviations, acronyms, or the shorthand that's used online, I'd feel much more comfortable about that. I'm not sure I have much reason to believe that, because everything that you've said here is an assertion, and so the lack of information is a little bit problematic. Okay, thank you.